I would like to ask you to give a very, very warm welcome to Tony Gilroy and Beau Willimon.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Is there going to be an audience? You know, there's an audience.
There was an audience. Here they are. So can I start by asking how you two met?
William Goldman, the legendary screenwriter, is a mentor and friend and father figure to Tony. I had admired him for years and years and tried to organize a retrospective of his films to honor him. And we ended up being a 40th anniversary screening of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and Tony was instrumental in helping me organize that, and that's how we got to know each other, and I became friends with Bill as well, and here we are all these years later, and we worked on House of Cards together for a little bit too.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that in particular. You have had a sort of maybe unusual working relationship where you have both been each other's boss at some point.
No one is Tony Gilroy's boss.
He hates it, but he was my boss. He really was. Yeah.
What's he like as a boss?
I had the greatest gig. I had the greatest, weirdest gig. He called me up and said, oh man, he goes, Fincher's gone. Everybody does what I say. Nobody tells me no. I need an asshole to back my play. And I know that you will be able to fulfill that slot. So I got paid to read and talk and note, and I was the final asshole.
He he rewrote the script just now.
No, I wrote memos.
No, what I mean is you rewrote the script of the story. I didn't call you that. No, I mean, that's more or less. This is what the writer's room was like. But basically, Tony did a huge favor for us. Like he read every draft of every script, seasons 3 and 4. I was like, if you just read one draft of each script and kick my ass, please. And he read everything and was a huge. He was a consigliere. I mean, it's a tough thing to run a television show. Tony just brought a wealth of experience and talent and wisdom and made it better.
What's Tony like as a boss?
The best. Yeah, no. I mean, Tony should do the talking here, but I'll just say this: that like the room that he pulled together. I mean, his brother and me and Stephen Schiff and Tom Bissell in season 2. Tony had such a clear vision. We just got to come in and be session musicians on like a maestro's album, and so he was very clearly in charge and knew what he wanted to do. But in the room, we were just jamming. And it was the best idea won, and it was a joy. So it didn't feel like you had a boss.
Do you feel like that accurately reflects you as a boss?
I'm going to try to avoid like singing, but I think I'm a really good boss. I think the key to being a good boss is having been an employee for so long. Yeah. I mean, I think that I really was an employee from the better part of my life. I mean, I didn't direct a movie until I was 50. So I mean, I was a bartender for 6 years. I painted houses. I mean, I've done all kinds of incredibly, my resume is confusing. But so I really, like I play very well below. I play very poorly above. And Zana Wollenberg, who is my sister on the show, and John Gilroy, who's my literal brother, and who's also another, and then Luke Hull, sort of the core 5, Mo and Leah. Everybody there has an employee mentality. So when we built a community, it's 2,500, 3,000 people worked on this show over the course of 6 years. We had the opportunity and the resources to design a system, an ethic, a vibe, all the things that we hated about all the shows, other people that we'd worked for. We had a completely wide open communicative process. So yeah, I think I'm a good boss because I had a lot of shitty bosses.
Yeah.
Well, I just have to add, what Tony does, he assembles the best teams on the planet on everything that he's worked on, and you really have the feeling like everyone's bringing their A game because he's chosen you because he believes in you. So he instills confidence in everyone at every level from day one, and the bar for excellence is high, and it's assumed that everyone's a varsity player, and that creates a sort of energy and vibe where everyone wants to meet their own bar of excellence. They want to rise to the bar of excellence of their peers, and ultimately they want to please Tony. And so it's I think, leadership is about bringing the best out of everyone. And you can't come out of the gates on this show with that, and it's rare.
Yeah.
You encourage mania. I mean, so often people are thwarted in their mania. People do this because they want to be maniacs. Why are you going to build the people who build props, and it's so deep. But encouraging mania is like, that is a huge part of the job.
Yeah. You have spent a lot of time reading each other's scripts. What is a characteristic of a Beau Willimon script?
Oh, I'm so tempted.
No, next. This is about
Now you have to say
Oh
it.
my God. Oh, you go first. No, but look,
This
it's going to be
will-
smart. It's going to be really smart. It's going to have some really beautiful, unexpected, random ideas that come in. Beau is willing to present. He's willing to write looser and wider than I am. I'm much more snipery and careful, and so I'm much more. So Beau's offering you more, and working on a Beau script is a reductive process. Working on a first draft of mine, and maybe be an expansive project. Does that make sense? Yeah. Does that make
That's
sense?
his way of saying I take a lot of big swings and miss a lot.
No,
There's a lot of strikes.
I'm not saying that.
No, that's fine. I study Tony Gilroy's scripts. I studied them before I knew him. I studied them since. I can't tell you how many times I go back to Michael Clayton, sometimes Tony will send me something to read, like that I get to be one of the first people on the planet to read it. I'm like, how did this miracle happen? And I'm not just blowing smoke here. One of the things that you will see in a Tony script, if you get the pleasure of reading one, when you watch one of his movies or TV shows, you see this incredible dialogue. We all know it. It's like it's poetry, every word. It's so, that precision that he's talking about is there. But what he's equally masterful about is the action lines. What's the things that are happening, and the way that he can describe a character in 4 words, the way that action leaps off the page. And I don't mean just big action sequences in Bourne. I can mean these incredibly subtle moments. I mean, he uses every font, he uses every underline and bold, and the way that he the architecture, the archipelago of words on the page is visual. You may not know this, but Tony started out as a musician and still is a musician. And there is a musicality to the way that the words appear on the page, a rhythm, a tempo that looks like a music score that is so different than most of the scripts you'll read. And it just as you read the script, you're watching the movie, you're experiencing it. You're not having to process a script into how does that become a movie. You are having that experience, and no one matches it, honestly. And I've read a lot of great screenplays, but no one matches it.
Oh my God, can I go now?
No, you're stuck here. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, all right. Okay.
But let's turn to Andor.
Yep.
So you guys sent some clips. I'd like to watch the first clip. So one thing I know that you had said about the process of building season 2 in particular is that you were really allergic to exposition and this idea that you have to explain everything that's happened in these intermediate gaps, but also that in order to prove to the writers that it was possible to do it the way that you structured the second season, that you wrote the beginning and the end of every script before you handed it over to the room. Yeah. Why was this the way that this season begins? How did this scene become that sort of anchor point?
That scene does a whole bunch of different things for me. I mean, when you leave him, he's with Luthen in the ship and kill me or take me in. All right, in the interim year, it's obviously been a very busy year. He's not going from stealing little boxes. He's stealing a TIE fighter from Shinar, and he's also clearly given that speech before. He has become a leader. He's also, I think if you're watching, maybe the second time you watch it or the third time you watch it, or maybe if you put the idea in, I mean, is he manipulating her or is he really honest? And is there a difference? I don't really know, but it should be a little bit of a hint of that in there. I'm trying to suggest a whole, the whole piece of the iceberg that's below the water. You should be able to feel it. You should really be able to feel, and sometimes there's just even a single line can, there's a line really late in the show, and I did an interview with some other people, and someone identified it, and I was like, oh my God, what did I get? There's a scene late in the show where Ben Mendelsohn and Anton Lesser, where Partagas and Krennic are basically saying goodbye, and it's really ashes for them. And Mendelsohn says to him, I can't help you, Leo. Yeah. And that line, there's no backstory for them at all, but oh my God, holy crap, they have this huge backstory now that you will write. You will fill in all the blanks for that. So it's how you use the negative space, how accurate it is, that it's always consistent. That scene does everything for me and then I'm also being a little bit of a jerk. I mean, because season 1 started slow burn. I just get so tired of slow burn. Slow burn. So I'm like, oh really? I want everyone to think this is going to be really tedious, and oh my God, and the fights, not fights, but the disagreement in the mix. We're spotting this. That scene takes music like crazy. You can put the fan of the air conditioning system is actually helping that scene. There's a tone. That scene just desperate for music. I was like, no, nothing. No music till we get, and they're like, oh, come on, no. Because I want everybody to be like, oh, this guy's really up his ass now. And he's gonna just gab away. And he walks down the hall and then, fuck you, no, we're gonna steal a ship and go for it. So it's a little bit of that.
And then he crashes the ship.
Yeah, no, then it's then I turn it over to ILM and go, all I tell them is when he doesn't know how to fly it, and when he tries to go forward, it crashes backwards and he gets away. And they build the rest of it. We give notes all the way through, but no, make it as stupid and insane as possible. And that has music. But it's a little bit of, it's all of those things. Yeah. That's not a terrible thing to say, no.
What is it like to get a script where somebody's like, here's the beginning and here's the end? Does that help you? Does that oh, crap?
It had to be proved, right? It had to be proved that it would work.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about all this stuff at length in the room, and then once there's an outline phase, and there's times where you turn in a draft, and Tony goes, "This scene's not working. Here's half of a scene that I think let's get it in this direction." Again, if you're working with someone where the synapses are firing this quickly, where someone has this clear vision of what they want to do, and that that your goal is to execute that vision, that you'll take it's welcome. Everything you can get that is a guiding star. And Tony, he adds, there's that propulsiveness that comes from him being generous by offering some material here you go, you got a running start now. So yeah, the more you can get, the better. Your name still goes on, so you get to look good, but it's all, what Tony walked into the room with each day in the room, the way he leapt into every conversation you have on the phone afterwards, and then every note, and then the work that he did on the scripts after we were long gone. You're seeing a complete, well thought out, felt vision.
I like this idea, and I'm really interested by this idea that by this point, we should be able to watch him give this speech and have this sense that he's given this speech many times before. And I have thought a lot about the sort of monologue nature of this show, like the way that all of these characters have these different big moments, and how much of that is about performance. And because of course, if Diego's not performing it that way, then the way you could perform this in a way where it's like he's never given this speech before in his life, I think, with the same text. But you are not on set, right?
No, but I don't. That's a really complicated question because I become really obsessed with my relationship and the script and the show and just work's relationship with the audience. I think part of it is experience and part of it is a lot of it's experience. But some of it really legitimately has to do with social media and reading comments and watching how people read the show and what things work. And over the last 10 years and watching. And what am I trying to say? Practically, I would never say to Diego or to Ari, oh my God, he's scamming her. I would never say that. But I will say I probably said to Diego at some point, I said, this is not the first time you've had to talk somebody down and calm her down. And also, if you don't calm her down, you die. Right. So, that's where you place the stakes. The other part of it is that you want to make it so that it's audience proof, that it can be watched a number of ways, that the really super critical people that are really paying attention and might watch it multiple times really can get deep value out of it. And that someone cruising through and grabbing a beer in that moment can still go, oh, he's talking that girl into doing this thing, and that still works too. Yeah. But I've become hyper aware of the mental calories that the audience can spend on any given idea in each scene. And I don't want people wasting time. That came up a lot in our scenes. Like, I can't have somebody wasting time to figure this moment out because I need them to pay attention to this. So let's clean that up, sand that down. Let's remove this. Let's concentrate on the thing. That's a weird answer, I know, but you want it to work on all the different levels. Yeah.
I think that's a good answer, actually. Let's watch the second clip. I saw a post, speaking of social media and how people watch this show, I saw a post that got really stuck in my head and I couldn't shake it loose when I watched season 2. And it read, Kyle Solar plays Cyril Karn like he's adjusting to wearing a butt plug, parentheses, positive.
There's a stage direction.
That actually sounds like something you'd write, actually.
How much of that element of who Cyril is existed on the page before Kyle was cast?
They grow together. He was pre-COVID. He was in my delusional pre-COVID state when I was directing the show and doing everything. So I went over to London and both of them were, and Nina Gold was cast in the show, and so we were starting with the parts that we had for the first couple episodes, and he came in. Robert Ems, who plays Lonnie in the show, came in. They both came in and read for Cyril, but unfortunately for Robert, Kyle read first, and it was just like it was drop the mic at that moment. I was like, I'm gonna see this other guy, but like no, and like then it was like, oh my God, this other guy's unbelievable. Let's find something for him. So and then you write. I think that's the miracle of this longer form and this whole thing for me. You write into what works. It's just astonishing at this late date in my career and life that I became so much of a better writer on this show because of the opportunity and because of the instruments that I had to conduct for and compose for and write to. And just, these actors are just, and then it feeds on itself and they get better and you get better and they get better and like, oh, look at this. And you know, I mean, there's a take, I remember the dailies from that. There's takes of Kyle. There's takes when he says, the second time he says, you had me followed, and he smiles, and it's like, you talk about butt plug. Oh my God. That's not what we used. But.
Kyle's extraordinary, but I will say from the first script in the Bible that Tony wrote, there was a disproportionate, almost excessive amount of Cyril and Edie stuff. Like there was like this was a relationship, and there was already glimmers that that Cyril and Dedra were going to get together, but this was something that was deeply felt, that there was something specific and unique about this character to what Tony wanted to do. And I think it actually, I mean, to be more serious about it, what this show offers that is so different than a lot of the other Star Wars stuff you've seen. People call it Star Wars for adults. What this scene is a great example of like that unsettling kind of like fulcrum between kind of like, the best kind of le Carre spy stuff that you'll ever find and humor. Right, an adult humor, and what Lucas did so well in his original movies is there's like a kind of warm, goofy humor to it all, right? Like that really sets it apart from a lot of sci-fi. And what I think Tony did so well is he channeled a new kind of humor. He honored the humor of Star Wars, but in this super dark and adult way that's just so satisfying. That's butt plug worthy.
I want to give shout out to Dan Gilroy, who's not here to defend himself. I definitely like Cyril came alive for me. My favorite scene in probably the whole show is the first scene that he has with the inspector, and that scene was just like for me like, oh my God, this is like everything. And when we cast Rupert, and then like I was like, oh my God, this is like. That's when I relax. When I'm watching the show, that's when so Cyril was up and running, but Danny had to do the first Edie scenes. And Dan, Nightcrawler and Roman J. Israel. I mean, Danny's a freak. I mean, he's the most, like his writing of eccentric, he's a very unusual dude, and in a great way. And so he started, it took a lot of hands and very strange process to arrive at Edie, her voice. So Danny starts it and it's kind of almost there, and then I try it, but I'm not really there. And then we have to write mock scenes. Everything we do, every scene that you see that there's an actor in, a starting actor, every one of those scenes, we had to construct a false scene that does the same stuff, but does not have the actual material in it. Some of them I wrote, some of them David Gervon, who's a story editor, would take a pass on. Sometimes they were great, sometimes they're inconsequential, we use the same thing for a bunch of people. But like, he did a pass on, and I remember David Gervon did a pass, the story editor, and I was like, well, that's a little closer, and that's kind of weird. And then I think Danny looked at it, it was really a relay race to finally, but then when it locked in, I could write Edie all day long. Yeah.
What is the writing purpose of that false scene? What is the act of writing that scene?
So you can audition people and they don't see the script. We don't have test screenings. We never do a focus group. There's this level of, I always say, I said this years ago, the career path of the screenwriter is, the modern career path is, in the beginning, no one will read your work. You're desperate. No one will read anything that you write. You can't get anybody to read. You wait for months, no one will read. The next station is you're in a hotel room and there's an AD knocking at your door at 4 o'clock in the morning because they need pages to go to set. The next stage is nobody can read the script because it's locked in the producer's office, and if the department head wants to come in, they have to open the safe and read it in there. Yeah. And I think in the end you go back to one. But like, we can't show anybody anything. We were making Andor, making Pilgrim. Everybody has a fake name. Everybody has a fake thing. It's very...
I want to say for the record that in my notes questions, I had Star Wars for grown-ups written in this section. So I thank you for queuing me up there. But I was really curious about the sort of adult humor, I think, is so much a part of it. And you can hear people laugh as you're watching it and you feel it, the tension of it. But I was wondering, like, I do not think of traditional Star Wars as having really any sexual energy. They kiss, but it's like, okay, we're good now.
They did twincest before Game of Thrones.
They sure did, and they ran away from it as soon as possible.
The Disney people in the room are like, ugh.
Well, is kind of my question is like, how much do you feel like how much freedom do you have to be like, no, these people have sex with each other?
Well, we can't. I mean, it sounded like it was going to be really restricting in the beginning. I had worked on Rogue, so I knew what the levels of violence were, and actually the rules have loosened up considerably. But I mean, yeah, we can't have skin, but I very consciously started the first scene in a brothel just to see what would happen and see how far we could go. I mean, you know, there's sex. I mean, so something that probably seemed at some point like it was going to be a big anxiety really turned out to be a nothing burger all the way through.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and arguably this is kinkier than if there had been skin.
You said that.
You should have seen the earlier drafts.
I would really like to.
I don't know. So far, you're the one who's going to have to check this interview for your work so far.
Now,
You started it.
Vulture is cool with this. I checked.
Okay.
Are these two the most fun to write? Who's everyone like, ooh, yes, I get this scene?
I have a horse in the race,
Yeah.
Saw Gerrera. I mean, come on, you know, like Forrest Whitaker is going to knock anything out of the ballpark. Give the guy a phone book and then give him more than a phone book, and holy shit. But I mean, they're all so good. I mean, there's just, I mean, Stellan, come on, and then there's the sort of scenes that, you know, like the very almost quiet, stuck in a safe house or just on the heels of a nightmare, quiet scenes, what Audrey is able to do just with her eyes. You know, that's the sort of stuff you kind of can only write around the edges. You know, you're providing like a faint version of a blueprint and hoping that something interesting happens, but then you have someone like Audrey or Diego and you know it will.
Let's watch the next clip. When did you know what the end would be for Cinta?
Probably while we were shooting season 1, and I was sketching season 2, and I can't remember when we talk about it when we had our other. Did you ever see the David Chase, the documentary about Sopranos? And like I watched that last year, and I was just, my jaw was on the floor because like people would go to table reads to find out if they lived or died. Like the actors would go, and it's like so the opposite of what we did. Like I didn't want someone to have a car payment and like, sorry, but I'm not running. Maybe you should have rented. You know, but like, so and I'm trying to remember. Yeah, no, it would have been in the sketching process. I pretty much came up with an actuarial table pretty early in the sketching process of season 2. There were a couple actors who did not. There were people who did not want to come back, and people who were complicated to get back, and whatever. And so there were a couple question marks in places. But I remember calling Verada and saying, "Hey, I think that we're going to do it this way, and I think I would like to have friendly fire. I would like to have the stupidity of accident in the show. I would like to have something really stupid happen. This whole Gorman thing is such a stupid cock up anyway. And I'm sorry, but you're the roulette. You know, you're not this. I don't have another piece. I either kill you or Vel, and I can't kill Faye. And so it's your turn. And I'm not sure if she had Doctor Who at that point or she was on the running. I'm not sure. She wasn't so depressed about it. And it was, and yeah, it had been baked in, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about this sort of decision to kill her, and particularly because TV does have this history of queer characters and lesbians.
This
in
was all,
particular.
this fascinates me.
Yeah.
This fascinates me because
They
you
die.
get all this credit on the first season. Oh my God, you have a natural relationship, and we were like, well, yeah, it's just a relationship. We're not making a big deal out of it. So then if you don't make a big deal out of it and just treat it like it's a normal thing and kill whoever you want to kill, then that's a problem all of a sudden. So I'm a little bit, I would discount the first side if I could get a little bit more. It's like, what more natural way to treat it than to treat it like a real thing? And I'm not gonna start to socially engineer my characters for some chat room.
If I may, this is a show where we all know where it ends. It's Rogue One.
Everyone's gonna die.
So like our mentality. No, I mean honestly, our mentality was that almost everyone's going to die. And that's broadcast everywhere in the show. Almost every episode, someone's saying like, well, we're never going to make it. We're never going to see it. And I think, I don't honestly remember. I mean, you definitely knew that there needed to be something had to go wrong, Gorman, with that heist. We're always thinking about cost. We're always, there is the fact that people did connect emotionally to that relationship, and there's a part of you that goes just pure like storyteller, like catnip is like what will hurt people the most, but not in any. That's just pure like. Any relationship. I mean, we hurt you later with Luthen and Clea. We hurt you with Bix and Cassian. Like every way that you can feel the pain and the cost of sacrifice. That's what this show is about. And there were multiple versions of what that heist would be.
Yeah.
But the friendly fire thing was quite early on because this is the ultimate magic trick there, which is like you're upset after that beautiful scene that this relationship is not going to see its way through. 2, you go, damn it, friendly fire? That's the way that this badass goes? Like it's that stupid and dumb, as Tony's saying. But it's not stupid and dumb because what does Vel say to the guy who pulled the trigger at the end? She was a miracle. You will spend the rest of your life trying to pay for this moment, to earn your keep. And what you realize is that it is a supremely noble death. That if you're not willing to die by friendly fire or getting accidentally run over, or it's in a hail of gunfire in a big battle, they're all equal, because really the choice you made from the very beginning is that I'm willing to sacrifice myself, whatever form that takes. And that's the magic trick, which is this shit is gonna happen, and you don't know which way you're gonna go. You just know you are gonna go. And that noble decision was made from day one. That's the magic trick.
There's also a level of responsibility that people don't. There's a level of responsibility that comes if you're gonna introduce a great number of characters. And I definitely, if Zana was here, I would turn scripts in and there'd be more. It was just an agony for production that more characters all the time. But the problem with it is that everybody's going to identify with different people in the show. Yeah. Everybody in this audience is going to have their person that they climb in with, and maybe it's multiple people, but there's going to be people who climb. So if you're queer, you're going to climb in to this character. The biggest thing that does for me is not just the friendly fire or the surprise of it or the tragedy of it. What I really need to do is I'm really driving very much to tell the story of Luthen as a very poor human resources manager. and his failure to his failure to recognize the importance of personal relationships and his need to try to break them up is a much larger thing and a much larger and more important issue to me than whether you think, where is the place where, Cinta should die or what, I don't know. So I can't, that's a level of responsibility that comes from abundance, I suppose. Yeah.
Let's watch the last clip. When you're thinking about the season, is this a moment that you're like, we have to figure out how to get to this moment? Or is it something you discover as you're sort of building what the whole season is going to be?
Oh, this was in the very pre-COVID, everything. It's like, that's on the calendar. I have, the moment she leaves, there's certain canonical markers on the calendar that I curate, and that's a pivotal moment. Yeah. It has to be there.
How much are you thinking? I assume you're thinking quite a lot about specific words, like including the word genocide in there.
Ultimately, yes.
Yeah. Can you talk about that decision?
Pretty effortless.
You have been doing a lot of press about this show for the last several weeks. What has it been like to hear people respond to this show, I assume this is a moment that you get asked about quite a bit.
It's really sad how many people can find a place to put this in some place that's meaningful for them. And like we said, I've been allowed to start using the word fascism in the past couple weeks, and that's liberating. But I don't think it should be any surprise or even really be too slippery or complicated for people to understand the road I have to walk to do all this, and to maximize the audience and to protect the investment of a really brave. I mean, Disney. This is $650 million they gave us for 24 episodes. I never took a note. We said, fuck the Empire in the first season. They said, can you please not do that? And we said, yeah, you know what, all right, we won't do that. That's the only note. I mean, seriously. They said in season 2, they said, streaming is dead. We don't have the money we had before, and we fought hard about money, but they never gave me a note. A gamble like that comes with responsibilities. Yeah. It is sad that how many people can find a place to put genocide into their vocabulary of their thing. And I don't think you need me to say anything else, do you? Okay.
But I will say it's not just, yes, it's that sad, but it's also interesting and heartwarming to hear how many people are inspired by what you did, that they feel motivated. They feel, I mean, rebellion is built on hope, right? And hope is a hard one thing. You know, you don't wake up in the morning with a bucket full of hope. You have to earn it. You have to feel the pain. You have to understand sacrifice. You have to, on a molecular level, live courage. It's not an idea. It's a deed, and first and foremost, it's like Dylan said, I'm just a song and dance man. We're storytellers. We want to entertain.
Wait a minute. I'm going to say one thing. But on a minor league level, he was the president of the guild. He was the Abe Lincoln of our fucking guild for some very difficult things, a strike and the agency thing, and there's no comparison to any of the other. There's no comparison. But these were, in their own way, incredibly passionate, incredibly difficult, trying campaigns, really complicated. So we have some, Beau more than I just was a jabbering associate, but
Tony's a good union man. I'll say that. He was out at every pickle.
But Beau made sacrifices. I mean, so we have the very small taste of it in our mouths for real, a little bit, and not in the real sense. But I don't know what I'm trying to say. But
no, but I will. A lot of people who really are the real life rebel scum, people that are on the streets making hard choices, and
No, you're fine.
Whatever that means to them. I mean, it connects with them, and that's an important thing. Yeah.
We're going to go to questions in just a second. But first, I want to just shift the mood from this really important and heavy conversation to an incredibly stupid game. It is called and/or. And we're just going to go quickly through a couple things. Uh-oh. So you're making a new project, but you get the power to say how people watch it. Is it TV and it's a binge, or is it TV and it's weekly release?
Wow, I loved season 1 going over 12, just because it was so. I think that I was suspicious of this way through, but I think this worked this time.
Yeah.
As a viewer, because I watch everything.
Oh, that's my next one. Yeah.
Yeah, I never binge the shows. I always watch them. So they can be dribbled out in some fashion. I don't like when they're all just sitting there. Then it's a responsibility, I think.
Yeah.
Well, as someone who could be partly blamed for bringing binging to stream.
I was going to point that out.
I will say I'm an old school proponent of the weekly release, and then I like to binge it all again later on the second view.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going on a double date. Cassian and Bix, or Cyril and Dedra?
Oh man, I'm going with Diego and Adria. No, you know what?
Cyril Dedra for me, man. That's just fascinating.
No, I like the dead air there, and what I'm doing there is, I don't know. No. Well, really, the butt plug is freaking me out, man.
I'm sorry. That's
the
my
light
bad.
side, dark side. Yeah.
That's on me. Okay, last one. You're in a very delicate situation. Are you calling Clea and Michael Clayton? Are you calling Cassian and Jason Bourne? Or are you calling Luthen and Claire Underwood?
Whoa, what's the first? Clea?
Clea and Michael Clayton.
Yeah.
Cassian and Jason Bourne. Luthen and Claire Underwood.
Oh, I'm calling Jason Bourne and Cassian Andor. Oh, totally, yeah. I mean, yeah. And I don't see George and Elizabeth working well together.
I disagree, but okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll take Luthen and Claire. I mean, it's a long game approach there.
Yeah.
And
I'm Cassian all the way.
Yeah.
All right. If everyone could make their way to the mics, we're going to take a few questions. Everyone has been at ATX before. Everyone understands how this goes, but what means everyone understands that audience participation relies on your guys' ability to be like, I'm not going to just pitch a thing right now. I'm going to ask a question and get out, right? Yeah. Oops, whoop. All right. Hello.
Hi. Ooh, I don't know. I don't talk into microphones. So I watched it like normal, and then took a pause, slept for a couple of nights, went back, started at the very beginning of Andor, and went all the way through to the end of New Hope over 2 or 3 days. I did not find that Andor flowed into Rogue One or that Rogue One flowed into New Hope. I mean, you could see the story going there,
right,
but the feel was really different.
Yeah.
And was that something, I mean, you chose to do it that way because you were doing...
They were built in different times. We did an interview a couple weeks ago, and I hadn't seen Rogue One. I watched it. My wife.
Have you watched it, Beau? Rogue One, since you're working on it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
multiple
curious,
times.
yeah.
Yeah. And then
But my wife and I put it on a week ago.
Did you?
Yeah, no, and I mean, the plot points work. The story points work. The information works. The characters are not inconsistent. The music, the vibe, the pace, the effortlessness of construction, they couldn't possibly be any more integrated than they are just in the way that they were built. It just would be impossible. I was surprised how well I see Rogue from I look at Rogue in a different way. It looks like a construction project to me, but I was shocked at how well the information went down and how well I was concerned about the Cassian, his relationship with Felicity. Was it going to be? But it actually is, Mike. It actually is the way it should be. It's at the right temperature. So, but they couldn't possibly be. Even the music, just alone, it would be impossible to. Someone would have had to go back in time and build them all that way. Yeah, it's the best. I think it's the best effort, really. No, I know. I think you're right. We went as far as we could. I mean, there was nothing more we could do at the end of episode 12 to make it more like Star Wars. It would have ruined our thing in a way. So, yeah.
Hi guys, I'm a huge fan. Rogue One's my favorite Star Wars movie. I'm only 28, so I mean, do that. Thanks for coming, Austin. So Ben Mendelsohn's performance as director Krennic and Andor felt a lot more full, and he felt like more manic all the time and really flamboyant, and he gave a real like smartest and most powerful character in your series for the Empire, and he knows it, and he wants everyone else to know it, and he loves that everybody knows that. So his energy and the unlimited power at the height of the Empire, was that something that you guys wrote into the script as like, this is this character, or was it him and the directors and all you guys all working together to kind of find this, new breath of this character?
I mean, the timeline in this is so close because it's a day later or 2 days later, his whole thing comes crashing down. So he's riding a pretty big high all the way through Andor, and he's panicking at the end. The Gorman Conference, why he's riding high? He's Robert Moses building the Death Star. And he's going for it. And so I think I was pleased how he tracks into Rogue, because he's getting his teeth kicked in by Tarkin right away, and things are starting to go wrong. The wheels are coming off, and the scene where stuff starts to come unglued for him is when he goes in to see Dedra and he realizes that the shit is loose. From that point on, he's not himself.
Thanks, guys. May the force be with you.
Thank you so much for your work and for being here. Something that haunts me, if I can ask, in your heart and your mind, is there anything you can share about our favorite, beloved, lonely little red robot?
Oh man, you couldn't love B2 more than I do. It's named after my son's dog, Bimo, which is a corgi, and so that was a soft time. I really, I had a lot to do. Like, there's a lot of places where I just will back off and say, no, I didn't have anything to do with this, and they presented me with that. But I had a lot to do with the design of that. It was really important. I wanted a dog. I wanted a droid that was a dog. I didn't know where it would end up. I will tell you that the first time I saw the articulated version of it was in a video, like a COVID video, of the guy who was the electrical engineer who designed the servos for it. And like it wasn't red yet, but when it could turn its head and it could do this stuff, and you're just like, oh my God, and we just like, I couldn't adore him more. Droids are very hard to carry in stories. They're really plot killers. Like, you're always like worried you're too slow or stay here. It's just so they become a doorstop. So I didn't want to abuse him, and I just want him to be happy. And he's playing tag at the end, and I think he's really happy on Mina Rao. I really do. I really do think he's happy. Don't you think he's happy? Yes.
Thank you. Did you get to keep a BMO?
I have no. I mean, the thing itself is, but they made me an unbelievable scale of this size. I have a proper thing. It's in my swag box downstairs. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi. I am a fan of Latinos in space, especially for my very special Star Wars. My dad is heavily accented, and as we watch this, we would joke, oh, when he says dis, that you say dis. And I think what's so delicious about this show is there's so many different accents and cultures, and this question is from my dad. How does that influence your writing? Everyone has a different inflection and different tones and different words, or is it, I don't care what you do, just say the words?
Oh man, I'll try to answer really quickly because it's really complicated. When I came back on the show, after Rogue, when I decided to get involved, the very, very first thing that was really bugging me, it really bothered me in Rogue, like Donnie Yen and Sean Yen, they don't speak English, but they never speak a natural language to each other. Mm-hmm. And what is Diego's accent? What the hell is that? And so I said, if I'm gonna do anything, I gotta identify what his accent is. That's why I went and made Kenari. And in the interim, someone had come up with an apocryphal fan fiction thing or a canonical thing that he had been from this Planet Fest. And so I actually upended that and used that as a thing that his mother hid, and so they could hide him, so I could explain his accent. I learned how to write for Diego. It's complicated. There are some things I know he can't say. He spends a lot of time on dialect. The accents of all the actors from the UK, nobody in this room gives a shit. Nobody here cares. It is of unbelievable importance to them over there. I literally had directors call me and say, you know what, I know you told him he wasn't supposed to be full Scots. He's playing full Scots all morning, and I don't think you guys are gonna be happy. And I'm going, well, tell him. He goes, I can't tell him. I'm a Brit. You have to tell him. It's a thing. And my brother, Johnny and I, Johnny's post-production, we grew up with au pairs. British girls came and lived at our house when we were growing up to help my mother out. And so we grew up with British accents, and we spent a lot of time in London. And our thing was, if we can't understand it, you got to clean it up. So there was cleanup, but we never cared. And people in England, people in the United Kingdom care tremendously. But yeah, no, there's things that Diego cannot say.
Yeah.
One of my favorite clips of Diego on social media is he was on some talk show and explaining how that in a lot of Spanish-speaking countries, he grew up thinking that R2D2 was Arturito. Everyone thinks it's little Arthur, the diminutive of Arthur. And he was like shocked as an adult to learn that it was like R2D2. He was like, no, it was little Arthur to me.
Arturito.
You know, they did their own. He and Audria, it's very unusual. They did all their own. He insisted on it. Season 1, they did all their own dubbing in Spanish. The Spanish version, they're complete. It's a very big time commitment, and it's a huge deal. And they were really adamant about it. It was a big deal. It's the first time it's been done, I think.
That was my family's favorite novela. So thank you guys.
On that note, I do think we are out of time, but I want to thank our panelists so much. Please join me in thanking them.